All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amna Shah. I'm the MLA for Surrey City Centre and the chair of the Select Standing Committee on Private Bills and Private Member Bills and All-Party Committee of the Legislative Assembly. I'd like to acknowledge that we are meeting today on the Legislative Precinct here in Victoria, which is located on the territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, now known as the Songhees and Esquimalt Nations. At today's meeting, we will hear from the sponsor of Bill M210, Korean Heritage Month Act, after which we will move in camera to deliberate. So our presenter is Paul Choi, the sponsor of Bill M210, Korean Heritage Month Act. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you very much for having me.
As a reminder, you have up to 20 minutes to present to the committee, followed by 20 minutes of questions from committee members. So please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you very much, and I am very glad to be here. I want to thank the chair and all the members and the clerks here for the opportunity to present the Bill M210, the Korean Heritage Month Act. I'll start with a brief overview of what the act does and the bill does and why it matters, and then walk through the intent of each clause. And I'll close with implementation notes and be happy to take any questions after. So this is a short symbolic recognition bill with two operative clauses and a preamble. It simply designates the month of October as Korean Heritage Month throughout British Columbia, and it provides for a commencement on royal assent. So there are no regulation-making powers, no fiscal appropriations, and no new obligations on public bodies or third parties. So its aim is to recognize contributions, invite commemoration and education, and make it easier for communities to institutions to coordinate programming each October. So why October and why now? And this preamble explains the legislative intent. Korean Canadians have made significant social, economic, cultural, religious, military, philanthropic, and political contributions to British Columbia, and it continues to do so. And October holds a special meaning because Korean people mark National Foundation Day on October 3rd, commemorating the legendary founding of the first Korean state, Gojoseon. A formal designation helps coordinate, support, and promote events and initiatives that remember, celebrate, and educate current and future generations about those contributions. So why now? Is that in recent years, we have seen growing participation in Korean cultural programming across BC, including language schools, small business, growth corridors, arts and film, including K-pop and K-drama and K-beauty, as we know, and food festivals, including kimchi and Korean fried chicken and bibimbap, and faith communities and veteran commemorations. So in designating October, the legislature would provide a consistent provincial-wide focal point that community groups, schools and libraries, museums, municipalities, and provincial communication teams can voluntarily align around without creating any legal duties. So the benefit and practical impact would be that of recognition and belonging. A formal, reoccurring focal point signals that Korean Canadian stories are part of BC's story, and it will help with coordination by way of cultural organizations can program with confidence that the province recognizes October and helps with venue bookings, sponsorship asks, and volunteer recruitment. And for education, schools, libraries, and museums may choose to highlight Korean history, literature, film, and arts during October. And when it comes to economic and community vitality, many events have small business participation, markets, culinary showcases, and tourism tie-ins further integrate culture and commerce. So again, these are opportunities, not requirements, and the bill structure intentionally keeps the designation simple and durable. So I'll walk through the bill in order, starting with the preamble. What it says is that the preamble records the legislature's reasons. It recognizes significant contributions of Korean Canadians and notes October's historical significance via National Founding Day and the founding legend of Gojoseon. and states that an October designation will help coordinate, support, and promote remembrance and celebration education. So the intent, of course, is to articulate purpose and context for interpretation and to ensure a public record reflects the legislature's view that this is about recognition, education, and community cohesion, not creating legal duties. So the effect will be that preamble aims interpretation if any ambiguity arises, but here the operator clause is straightforward. So the preamble does not itself create any obligations. So when it comes to clause 1, it says the month of October is Korean Heritage Month throughout BC. So intent is to formally designate October as Korean Heritage Month across the province, and the effect will be to create a statutory recognition. No regulation making authority is attached, no mandatory programming flows from this clause, and the phase throughout BC signals a provincial-wide inclusive recognition that invites, but does not compel, participation from public bodies, municipalities, and community organizations. And what it does stay the same is that any ministries, crown agencies, school, municipality retain full discretion over programming and communication, and any events remain voluntary and within existing mandates. So clause 2 states the act comes into force on the date of royal assent. The intent and effect, of course, is to activate the designation immediately upon royal assent, and there are no transitional or consequential amendments linked to this bill, which is not necessary. So in closing, Bill M210 is concise by design. It recognizes a contribution of Korean Canadians and designates October as Korean Heritage Month throughout British Columbia and coming into force on royal assent. It creates no mandates, but it provides a clear focal point for celebration, education, and community partnership each year. So I appreciate the committee's time and would be pleased to answer any questions and, if invited and required, to return for clause-by-clause considerations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Paul. Members, we now have 20 minutes for questions from the committee. Oh, Mabel?
Thanks, yeah. Thanks for the bill. And I was just wondering, is October also designated nationally? And are there any other provincial designations recognizing Korean Heritage Month in Canada?
Thank you very much for that question. It is, in fact, designated nationally as October at the House of Senate. Yeah, at the Senate level, there's a motion that was proposed, I think, a couple of years ago. So there is national designation for October as Korea Day, and in Ontario, at their provincial level, about 10 years ago, I believe, there is a same bill that designates in province of Ontario to be October as a Korean Heritage Month. So this will be first in BC and it will be first in Western Canada.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Are there any further questions? Wonderful. Well, thank you, Paul, and thank you, members. And our next agenda item today is in-camera deliberation, so I'll ask for a motion to go in camera. Great. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. public session. Great, so we will now begin clause-by-clause consideration of Bill M210, Korean Heritage Month Act. Shall Clause 1 pass? Aye. So ordered. Shall Clause 2 pass? Aye. So ordered. Shall Preamble pass? Aye. So ordered. Shall the title pass? Aye. So ordered. MLA Elmore?
I move the chair report Bill M210, Korean Heritage Month Act, complete without amendment.
Members have heard the question. Those in favor indicate aye. Aye. Those opposed indicate nay. Motion is carried. I'll report the bill to the House. Thank you very much, members. That completes our consideration of Bill M210. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. This meeting is now adjourned.